no. Oh no, this bike scares me. Oh no. Oh, I hope it's going the same place I'm going. Oh, now what do I do? Oh.
Hey, Motorman here, and this week we're going to talk about the people who are scared to death of their own motorcycle. I'm going to talk about why that occurs and how to get over that. So come on, let's take a ride. All right, so the question is, why are people so afraid of their motorcycles? Even if you don't want to admit it, I'm betting that there's many of you out there who are actually afraid. And the reason that you're afraid is because a motorcycle or any two-wheeled vehicle is not as stable as a four-wheeled vehicle. That's pretty obvious. And how can you tell if you're afraid of your motorcycle? Well, we're going to come up to some curves here. They're really nothing. But I've seen people, and I'm going, 40 miles an hour. I've seen people slow down to about 15 miles an hour just to go around turns like this. If you're doing that, yeah, you're afraid of your motorcycle. What made me think of this is I watched a YouTube video. This woman was out in, I think it was Sturgis, and she's got a YouTube channel. She talks about riding a motorcycle, and it's odd because she has no clue how to ride a motorcycle. She can only go straight. Yes, she can make great big wide turns once in a while and come to a nice easy stop. But and you might think, how do I know this? Well, she pretty much said that. She was up, she said recently, at the tail of the Dragon in that area, and she didn't ride the Dragon because, well, she's afraid of turns. So if she's afraid of turns, what does that mean? Well, if the bike starts to lean, she's afraid. She thinks she's going to fall over, and she probably will if she has no technique. If she doesn't know where to look and when to look there, she should be afraid. When coming around turns, especially on a severely winding road, mountain road like the Dragon, you got to know how to set yourself up, first of all, for a turn. So if the road is curving to the left, you want to start your turn in the extreme right-hand portion of your lane. Right now, I'm in the extreme right-hand portion of my lane. There's no turn here, but you get the point. The reason you want to do that is so you have the best view around the curve. Now, we're going to not talk about trail braking right now because we're going to talk about the average cruiser rider and what you should do. So you want to go in slow and accelerate slightly while rounding the turn. Now, if you roll on the throttle slightly, a lot of times you're not even picking up speed because when the bike is leaning over, you're on a smaller portion of the tire. So rolling on the throttle will only maintain your speed if you're rolling on slightly. That doesn't mean to give it full throttle or anything like that, but you get the point. You want to go in slowly, do all your braking before you enter the turn. Look through the curve, position yourself for best view around the curve, and come out of the turn a little faster than what you went in, or at the very least maintain your speed. Now on roads like the Dragon, where I think the speed limit is somewhere around 35 miles an hour, be cognizant of the people behind you. If you're creating a parade and obstructing traffic, and yes, I know the speed limit is 35, so you should be able to go 35. Well, I know a lot of people on that road can't go 20 miles an hour. That's how scared they are because they have no clue how to really enter the turns. I've seen people where they'll follow the fog line on the white line on the side of the road, and if you do that, you're going around the most severe part of the curve. You're making things worse. So that's going to raise your fear level. The idea is to straighten out the curve. Now what we're going through right now is what I would consider a bend. It is a curve, but it's a very slight curve, and I've seen people who were literally run off over that double yellow line even on a gigantic turn like this. And that occurs because they'll start looking at that guardrail, and remember, the bike goes where you look. You start looking at it, and then you freeze up, and you don't know anything about counter steering. You don't know that if you push left, you'll go left, push right to go right. They're not aware of that. They can do it until they really have to. once they get into that panic situation, they want to steer like they do on a car. And if you try to turn away from the thing you don't want to hit, you're going to wind up hitting it. You'll go right towards it. There's a lot of people also that are afraid of or intimidated by the weight of their motorcycle. The bike feels heavy and clumsy and feels, and I get this a lot, they talk about top heavy. All motorcycles are top heavy. They got two wheels. If you just have the bike standing still and you let it go, it's going to fall over. Some bikes have more weight up high than others, but it means nothing if you actually know proper technique. And that is what these riders need to get over their fears, is a little skill, some technique. I've taken some riders with virtually no skills and an extremely high fear factor. One of them is Linda. If you've seen that video, if not, I'm going to put a link below, where the first time she came to me was in a regular class, and she was just scared to death of even the slightest lean on her motorcycle. She had to duck walk the bike through the exercises. She had one of the highest fear levels I've ever been around, and it took that class, it took 2 private lessons of about 6 hours of training there, and some practice on her own, and she turned it around. So anybody can do it. It's just going to take a little bit longer for people with a high fear level. So that you want to get over your fears, folks, you got to take some training. I'm going to feature a video at the end here that you should definitely go to. It's the trailer from my new Ride Like a Pro experience video. And it's a pretty long trailer. It runs 10 minutes. The video itself is well over an hour. But it gives you an idea. Well, it tells you exactly what the techniques are and how to perform the exercises properly. And we show you the mistakes riders make. It's going to be the best 20 bucks you'll ever spend on your motorcycle, no question about it. But it's important to learn and get over your fears at low speeds, because riding right now, I'm going 45 miles an hour. I don't have to do anything. The bike is just going straight. This takes no skill at all, and this is what most riders have no problem doing. If you have no problem just cruising straight on down the road, making great big wide turns once in a while and coming to a nice easy stop, that doesn't make you a skillful rider. You should be able to do that the very first day you ever get on a motorcycle out on the road. You've gone through the beginner's class, you get on your motorcycle, you should be able to do exactly what I'm doing right now. If you can't do this, well, take up another hobby like, I don't know, bungee jumping or something safer for you. But get off your motorcycle. But I do know people, and I've read about them on different forums, that are scared of doing just this. They're afraid to get out on the interstate because, well, they got to go 70 miles an hour, and that scares them. How do you get over that fear? Well, you got to do it a little bit at a time. If you're afraid you have that fear of riding out on the interstate, find yourself a country road like this and start bringing your speed up 50, 60 miles an hour. You know, try to obey the laws on the road that you're riding. But there's plenty of country roads with no traffic. Then get out on an interstate where there's not much traffic. That means, you know, not rush hour. And maybe stay on it for an exit or two with your speed up to 65, then 70, then 75, or whatever the law allows. And pretty soon, if you face those fears, you're going to get over them eventually. It may take you longer than somebody with a low fear level, but what's the rush? There's the old mayor here in Newport Richey. Yeah, he's not doing too well these days. But in order to get over your fears, I firmly believe you got to face them. That means get out and do it. And if you watch my video, it comes with a practice guide that tells you how to set up the exercises. And if you're afraid, in other words, rather than set up, say, a 24-foot U-turn, set up a 50-foot U-turn, whatever you're comfortable with. Start practicing a U-turn at a lined parking lot and see how many parking spaces it takes you. Each parking space is usually 9 foot. If it takes you 10 parking spaces to make the U-turn, and you may think that's silly, but I had a rider come to my class who needed 100 feet to make a U-turn. It took 8 hours of training to turn him around to where he was making 18-foot turns, but he had an extremely high fear level. It was very frustrating for him and myself I didn't want to show my frustration. What he needed was a smaller bike, because he was on a street glide, so I put him on the Sportster. And the very first day I got his 100-foot U-turns down to 40 foot. That doesn't sound like much, but you know, that's 60 feet less than it was taking him before. And then they think 2 lessons later, he was back on his street glide and making 18-foot turns. That could be you. If you have this high fear level, believe me, this fear is not helping you. It's hurting you. Timid riders are a crash looking for a place to happen, especially timid riders with 0 skills. And if you're a timid rider, it's because you got 0 skills. So get yourself some skills. Learn these techniques at low speeds, under controlled conditions. And I know you think, well, you took the beginner course. Well, you took that course on a little 125 or 150cc bike, and now you have a 500-pound motorcycle or a 900-pound motorcycle, and you can't do anything. Yes, the bike is too big for your skill level, but if that's all you got, you can learn on that bike. Just make all the exercises I show in my video bigger until you feel comfortable, little by little. Just shorten them up. It's well worth whatever amount of hours it takes you to become a skilled rider. You'll enjoy riding so much more when you actually know what the hell you're doing. For more information on the proper techniques, let me refer you to this video right here.